Come on in to the Wave of Change, where I am interviewing leaders who inspire action, sharing their stories, giving you tips, and dropping those gems. Come make some waves with us. Like, share, comment, and ask that question if you dare. If you are catching the replay, you know what to do. We hit hashtag replay so that I know you're here with me. My name is Tammy Renee, and I am here to help you make a change and take action in your life. Today, we are talking about life layovers don't last forever. How to prepare for your next big takeoff. Drop some waves in the comments and let's welcome Dr. Dwight Riddick, the number one coach for coaches and the founder of CMI Potential Coaching and Speaking. Hello.
Hello. Well, thank you so much for having me, and for everybody that's on, welcome. Thank you, Tammy. It's good to be here. Glad to be here.
Oh, I'm so excited you're here. I cannot wait to learn about this. You know, when your flight lands and you think you're stuck and you're ready to take off. So go ahead, share a little bit about you and your business.
Okay, yeah. So my name is Dwight Riddick, and one of the things I have experienced is life delays. And I'm not sure how many of you've experienced that before, but I have. Literally, I mean, just flying recently, I had a delay and was kind of stuck in the airport, trying to figure out what to do. Had business I could do, pull out the laptop, I could grab something to eat, I could go to these stores. But at the end of the day, I had this destination I really wanted to get to and couldn't get there because I was delayed. And the story would be great if it was just plain delays, but that's not it, right? I've had delays in college, went to a 4-year university. Around the 8th year, I realized I was still there, stuck.
Oh, wow.
Basketball team tried out for college, and I made the team, got scholarship for the team, then got cut from the team before I could get back on the team. Relationship delays. I mean, so I just had plenty of delays in life, and the delays themselves aren't horrible, except that they cause levels of shame, embarrassment, frustration, anger. And if we're not careful, you can have so many life delays that you start to give up. You believe that where you are, you're always going to be. It happened in my business as I was trying to launch in coaching. I started out, had all of these huge ideas and what I thought were great messages, only to realize I had no clients. I had no traction. And, some of you've been there before where it's like, I got this stuff, but I don't have the things I need. And
Right.
so after having all of these delay after delay after delay, I really had to focus on how do you deal with delay. And from that, birth, seeing my leadership coaching, where now we help coaches and speakers maximize their potential. We help you create your own business, coaching and speaking. We have a couple of different packages, but our main package is called the Playmaker, and it's turnkey. We help you create your business from idea. We make sure you have the photos and videos to back it. We design your website. We LLC your business. We coach you on coaching, speaking. And really, I think the best part is we package you, right? That's the part that I tell everybody, that you could have a lot of content and a lot of ideas, but if you don't package it, if it's not in the proper package, one, you can't distribute it, and two, people don't know how to receive it. And so, in short, I know we had a lot of conversation, but in short, that's what I do. I am the number one coach for coaches. If you are coaching, I want to help scale you to 10K in 2 months, and then we scale you from there to help you hurry up and get to that 7 figures.
I love the fact that you said you package it. So not only are you going to take off, you're going to have your suitcase with you.
Absolutely. Luggage in tow, for sure.
All in one big bundle. So I
Yeah.
hope you guys are paying attention today and catching up on these gems he's going to be dropping on us and these tips, because To have that service is priceless,
Yeah.
right? To have someone who can come in and help you from the ground because you're stuck and you think you just landed your plane and it ain't coming back up, right? And you get sidetracked by going shopping, you get
Yeah.
sidetracked by doing all these things, but to have someone help you bring that all back together and elevate you,
Right.
not higher, just elevate you higher, is like priceless. It's very priceless because I know a lot of coaches and speakers, they struggle with their messaging. They
Yeah.
struggle
Absolutely.
with, what do I even sell if I'm a speaker?
Right.
You
Right. And I've
know,
seen that. I've seen so many speakers and been in places, like been on stages and been on virtuals with speakers whose message spoken phenomenal, but
hmm
it ends there. And
yes,
I have one speaking coach, a guy named Pat Quinn, and he said, listen, when you speak from the stage, you help people a little, but when they enter your coaching programs after the stage, you can help them a lot. Because that
hmm
30, 45, even 90-minute talk is powerful, but it's only 90 minutes. And so to
right.
have something packaged where after you get off the stage or after the virtual or after the webinar, you can walk them through a program or a strategy. You can customize everything you spoke about on stage to their particular situation. Like that is literally the game changer. And I know for me, when I started coaching and speaking, I was in that space where I couldn't figure out that next step.
Yes,
Some of the programs were like, okay, now start the business, but they didn't teach you how. They were like, create a funnel, but they didn't teach you how.
yes.
They said niche down, but they didn't say why. And so now what we found, with over 350 coaches now and thousands of actual clients, we've been able to create a system that is turnkey. It works for people who have a lot of followers. It works for people who have none. It works for people on social media. It works for people who are not, where we can really help you hit that 10K in 8 weeks. And then after that, you have a system that you can scale to whatever you like to make each month if you just put the work in.
hmm Oh, I can't wait to see this 8 week, $10,000 program you got, because I know a lot of coaches, they swear they can get you to 10,000, 8,000 in a month or 2 or 3 months, but you didn't become the number one coach for a reason, for no
Right.
reason. So
Yeah.
tell us, how did you adapt that name, and where did that come from? Becoming calling the number one coach.
Yeah. So I'll be honest. I started out coaching with John Maxwell, and so the first coaching program I
Mm,
engaged in was the John Maxwell. What is it? John JMT is what they call it. John Maxwell team, where it was coaching, speaking, sales, and so that was phenomenal. The program was great. I always kind of give credit to where it's due. If anybody's considering that program, go for it. He gave
mhm.
us and his team gave us everything we needed to succeed. The challenge was after it was over, I really couldn't figure out how to really leverage the business. Like I was doing well, and I was hitting the 10 figures, but I couldn't scale it. I couldn't get that next thing. And so I started connecting with multiple coaches at different levels. So one coach specialized in funnels, another coach specialized in webinars, another coach. And so all of these coaches had their own way to get to whatever the 6 or 7 figures was. And then for me, I had a computer science background, so I'm a computer nerd, on the low. And
Uh-huh.
I took that inner nerd with all of these teachings and began to really level up. And I'll talk about that, but that whole flight and leveling up is huge because what I realize is you need what I call pragmatic mentors, like people who are practical in order to reach the aspirational mentors. So it's like AM and PM. PM are pragmatic, practical mentors. Honestly, Tammy, that's people like you and I. Like we are doing a little bit better than most, but we haven't peaked all the way out yet, right? We're not at
Right.
Myron Golden status, ET status, Les Brown status, but we're a lot further than people who just getting started. And
Mhm.
so I connected with the John Maxwells and Ving and the Chain Vings and U.S. Ambassador Susan Johnson Cook. They were good because they helped me really get on my feet, get started. And as a result, I was then able to connect and understand those aspirational mentors, right? And so
Huh.
was able to get on the book tour with Les Brown, speak on stages with Eric Thomas and Jeremy Anderson. And it honestly, that's where I started rebranding as the number one coach for coaches, right? So ET said, look, I am the number one motivational speaker in the world. And he is. The challenge is he was saying that before he was, right?
Right.
He was saying that when he was speaking in elementary schools and middle schools. And
Mhm.
so he kept asking, like, so who are you? I was like, I coach coaches. He said, it's a lot of people that coach coaches. Who are you? I said, I am the number one coach for coaches, right? And the more I said it, the more coaches came. And the more coaches who came
Mhm.
succeeded in the program. And so now I'm at a place where I'm not just saying it to become it. I'm saying it because it has happened. Now, I'm not the only coach, right? I'm gonna be honest. I'm not the only coach for coaches. But until you bring me somebody else that I can sit beside, I'm like, whoa, I am claiming number one coach for coaches because I think coaches need coaches.
Oh,
Uh,
yes.
people need somebody to see them at their next base, no matter where that is. Whether you're just getting started, you've been
Mhm.
doing it for a while, but you're stuck, or you're excelling and doing very well, there's still another level you can reach. And no matter who you are, my goal and mission in life is to maximize your potential and help you become, better at what you're already working on.
hmm And without a coach, you're kind of doing it by yourself, right?
Yeah,
And then you just have that thought in your head of this the way it's supposed to go, but it's not working, right? So having that
right.
coach for that second outside view or that perspective is always game changer.
Yeah.
Always game changer.
And Tammy, looking successful and being successful are two totally different things, right?
Yes.
And the gram and the Facebook and the talk and like the Photoshop can make you look really, really good with graphics. But we want you to have real success, right? And even if people
Right.
don't see it, we want you to experience that. And that's kind of the goal in that maximizing your potential.
Yeah. And I think this is a great opportunity for coaches, especially with, all the layoffs and all the people who are losing their jobs. They have the skills.
Right?
Now they just need to take those skills and turn it into something of their own.
You're right. You're right. I
Yes.
believe that. I,
Yes.
I think I think at the end of the day, when you can't depend on everyone else, you have to at least bank on you, right? Bet on
hmm
you, bank on you, go all in on you. And it's your skill, Tammy, and it's also your story. Like everything you have
hmm
experienced is in vain if you're the only one who knows about it and you can't share it. So what we do is we take your story and we're like, look, what's the story? Like, what did you experience? Don't be ashamed of it. Let's figure out the lessons you learned and
Yeah.
package that so we can share it with somebody else so that they don't have to have the same struggle. And people will pay for the cheat codes to success. And
Oh,
you
yeah.
have them, right? You have them because you already experienced it. You've already overcome some things. I mean, we all have a little ways to go, but we've
Uh-huh.
also all come a long way already.
Oh yeah, yeah. And I don't think it ever ends unless even when you retire, it still doesn't end because you make impact on people even in retirement, right? So I don't
Absolutely.
think it ever ends where we are significantly growing to get to that place where we can now retire and just share,
Yeah.
share and make that impact and
Right.
mentor other people because it's the new generation that's coming in, right?
Absolutely. And I would say that if you start sharing the story now, that's a way to retire, right?
Right?
That packaging that story, if you package it right, you can speak and coach your way towards retirement and keep your time and manage your own schedule and lower your stress because now you control your commodity, which is you.
Yes, yes. I love that. I love that.
Yeah.
I love that. Anybody who's talking, sharing their stories, letting that out, empowering others is right down my alley. Right
Absolutely.
down my alley. Now, earlier when you were speaking, you were talking about niching.
Yeah.
So, I know niching is very controversial. We're gonna say that, right? It's very
Yeah, it is.
controversial. Some people want you to niche down. Some people say don't niche down so much. And
Mhm.
before you share your opinion, what I want to say is I find the value in niching down.
Okay.
Before that, I was lost before I niched down, but I may have niched down really, really tight, which they say the tighter your niche is, the richer you get, right?
Yeah,
So
for
I
sure.
probably niched down really, really tight, and I could probably open it up a little bit more. But give me your opinion because I did hear you mention that, and that is the one of the biggest struggle people really have trouble wrapping their mind around.
Excuse me. Yeah, absolutely. Tammy, that is probably the biggest struggle. And in our program, we kind of deal with that right out of the gate, right up front. We spend a lot of time helping people niche and then become comfortable with that niche. So
Mm-hmm.
I am a proponent of niche down as small as you can go. And now I do
Okay.
understand why a person who is multi-talented and multifaceted would like to do more things. Here's some of the examples I give for my personal bias, and if I could say how we found success for myself and for other coaches.
Okay.
That is one, when you niche down, you are now creating a custom product and service.
Mm-hmm.
So, just for an example, you could do something for women. That's all women. But if you do something that is single women with boys who are in their first year of college, like that's a really narrow niche. So whatever
Yes.
program, product, book that you create for them, when they see it, they're like, "Oh, that book is exactly for me," because you niche down 4 levels in order to get to it. So the first reason I think niching down is important is because you really create a custom curated product and solution for your client. One, whatever you produce is much more likely to be exactly what they need because you don't have to have different versions of it, right? If it's a single mother with a son in his first year of college, right, that is so narrow that whatever you give, it has to fit. So we're not talking about kids who are in high school, right? Because that's a different type of personality. We're not talking
Mm-hmm.
about a mother with a daughter because she's different than he is. That's a whole different program.
Mm-hmm.
So because you're so niche down, what you're providing becomes very, very particular and specific and bespoke for your clientele, and they appreciate that. One, two, because your solution is so slim down, you can really test it to make sure it works because it's for this group, right? I'm not saying that this is going to work for a mother with a daughter or a mother who has twins or a
Right.
mother who has a soft or senior in college. That's a different life stage. But what I do know is that these 4, 6 to 10 steps will work for a mother who is single with a son in his first year. Like that is like you can prove your results with that type of work. So, those are two reasons I think practically on the solution side. On the marketing side, it saves you money. Anytime you niche large or out, you have to create different campaigns, different promos because you're targeting so many different audiences. But when you
Mm-hmm.
niche down, all of your marketing money can go towards a single focus. You can do research on what that person's personality is like, and your return on investment is much higher because your marketing now is laser focused. So that's another reason I think, niching down is important. And I found that while some people say, well, if you niche down, you leave out all of these other people. I mean, you do, but we already know that everybody's not your client and all money is
Right.
not good money, right? So
Right.
what I say is when you niche down, you save yourself from all of the distractions because
Okay. I
now
like
you really
that.
work, you look, you're really working with your VIP. You work with
Yeah.
people that are like you. And I say this too, Tammy. I say in our program, I say that the goal is if you're listening to this, you're like, I hear you, but I'll still agree. Here's the goal. The goal, I believe, is for you to help someone who was the last version of who you were so
Mm-hmm.
that they can become the now version of who you are, right? So who are you? That's the question. Who are you? Like, what's your gender? What's your life stage? What's your age? What's your skill set? What have you grown up doing? We want to target that person because we
Mm-hmm.
know that you know how to become you now from who you used to be. Like you know how to do that. And if we
Mm-hmm.
can build your coaching and speaking out of that, then sky is the limit. The sky's the limit.
Yes,
I,
and I can tell you that brings a lot of heart to you, a lot of joy to you to
yeah,
see someone else reach that level. I,
yeah,
I can see
absolutely.
it. I
Absolutely. I mean,
see
if
it.
you think about it, when you find somebody that was where you were and then you help them get to where you are, like you literally just saved the 15-year-old version of yourself or the 30-year-old version of yourself. And
Uh-huh.
it becomes easy to do. It's not work. It creates passion. An example I use is Michael Jordan, right? I,
Mm-hmm.
and again, I'm a Jordan fan, so no shade, but Mike was phenomenal at basketball.
Mm-hmm.
That's his niche. Now, because he was so great at basketball, they let him do other things. right?
Mm-hmm.
He was so great at basketball, they let him play baseball. He was so great at basketball, they let him play golf. He was so great at basketball, they let him gamble. And so I say be really, really good at be the superstar at basketball. Then all those other things that you wanted to do that you thought were outside of, you'll get to do those things. Like people will trust you in all the other areas because you've proven your value in the one. But if you're trying to do all these things at the same time, we don't know what you're an expert at. You know, when I go to your
Right.
website, when I go to your social media and I see that you do 5 things, I'm not going to pay you top dollar for any one thing because you haven't shown me you're an expert in it, right? But if
Mm-hmm.
all I see is you talking about being a parent or this freshman, being a parent, if that's all you do, when I invite you in to speak, I'll pay you 20, 30, $40,000 because I know that this is all you do. You are an expert.
Mm-hmm.
And so, I really just kind of recommend people really consider those pros. Now, in another conversation, I might be able to come up with some negatives to niching down that small. But right now, niche down every time.
Niche down.
This,
Yes.
look, this ain't you for everybody, you for nobody.
Right. And that was one of the hardest things. And even to the point where and this is for anyone who is listening, everybody's gonna say you're not speaking to everybody, but you might be thinking in your mind, well, I'm not speaking to everybody. I just want to speak to whoever wants to listen. That's still speaking to everybody,
That's
right?
everybody.
That you're not speaking to
Yeah,
anybody then at that point.
right.
So when I noticed when I niched down, all of a sudden my DMs started to get lit up. But before
Yeah,
that, it was like crickets. It was like
right.
crickets. It was
Yeah,
like, well, I don't really know what you do, but I'll watch you.
yeah, that's right. And tell me, you can niche down in seasons, right? So for instance, I coach coaches, but for the next 4 to 6 months, I'm going to focus on coaches, coaching basketball coaches and speakers on how
Mm,
to become coaches and speakers. Right? I'm gonna focus on how to coach basketball coaches on launching their own coaching and speaking business. Now,
uh,
for me, I don't feel like that's outside of my niche. My niche is I coach coaches,
mhm.
typically executive coaches and life coaches. I am now just branding the type of coach, and I'm only doing it for 4 to 6 months, right? 4 to 6 months. That's gonna be the target audience. That does not mean I'm not doing other coaches. It does not mean I won't bring on other. I won't be promoting it, right? Like
Right.
all of my social media ads, all of my invites, all of my emails, all of the events I take for that 4 to 6 months because it's off season for basketball is I am launching an off-season campaign to get coaches on stage, right?
Oh,
So
nice.
it's still coaching speaking and coaching, but I've now identified a target. Now here's the thing. I can do that now because I've already built up a strong clientele of
Hmm.
coaches that were doing life coaching in every other niche. So again, let me just say when you niche down, you can also consider the seasons that you niche and how long that you niche. And once you have proven that you can create predictable income with one niche, then you can kind of explore different variations of it.
I
But
like
not
that.
income. It's not income. Anybody can get income. Anybody can get paid. It's got to be
Uh-huh.
predictable where you know exactly what's going to come in every week, every month, every quarter. And then once that's on autopilot, then you make your move. Is what I offer as a consideration. Let me say it that way.
Okay, okay, I
Yeah,
like that. I like that. That way you're not overwhelmed and you're not confusing yourself, but you've also made a name for yourself.
absolutely. That's
Yes,
it. That's a great way
yes,
to put it. Yeah.
yes, yes. So let me ask you, when was the moment of change for you that you knew this is what you wanted to do though?
Yeah. So I think for me, the moment of change, and let me say this, I am a full-time pastor. So by vocation and calling, I do pastor full-time. Congregation size about 2,500 active,
Mm,
more on the roll, but like active, right? And I think for me, I had 2 moments. One, I had a coaching contract with a company, and it was a 6 month contract. And throughout that 6 months, I was meeting with them once a month. And the
mhm,
people that I was meeting with did not go to church, did not have a faith space, but I
mhm,
was meeting with them regularly on site once a month and then virtually for that 6 month contract.
mhm,
And at the end of it, 5 of them, without saying directly to me, I found out had re-engaged their faith and started taking their family back to church. And for me, this was an impact moment. That's how I measure my impact. Other people may
Uh-huh.
measure theirs another way. I don't measure my impact by dollars and cents. I measure it by life transformation. And out of the 25 people that were part of that particular team, 5 of them that I know about rededicated their life. And so at that moment, I realized that this was so much more than business, right? This was so much more than coaching. It was so much more than PowerPoint slides and assessments. This was actually changing lives. Now, I sought out to change lives. And,
Uh-huh.
it kind of, I thought maybe this was helpful day. This was a good moment. But that 6-month contract, one, I saw change lives. And to be honest, the money wasn't bad either, right? And so at that point, I was like, okay, wait a minute, this is a thing. How do I scale this? All right, how do I 10x this or 12x this so that I can do it regularly? And that's when I started trying to figure out what the system is. What's the everyday routine? One of my favorite quotes is by Michael Gerber,
Uh-huh.
and Michael Gerber says that systems allow ordinary people to achieve extraordinary results predictably,
Yes.
right? And I think it just stuck with me. I was like, I need a system because I was doing it, but I didn't have a system. And
Mm-hmm.
and Tammy, this is how it happened for me. I created the system, tweaked the system, messed the system up, made the system better, right? All of that. It was just like gravy at first. Like, it was bad.
Right.
So, after all of these tweaks, I came up with a system. I was okay, this is working. And I got to the point where I had more clients than I had time for.
Oh,
And
wow.
so I had to train someone so that they could help. And while I was training someone to help, I realized that that might be my niche. Not only doing the coaching and the speaking, but training people how to do the coaching and the speaking. So I helped
Uh-huh.
one, I was training one person to help me. Then I was like, okay, now I need 2 people. I trained 2 people. And by the time I needed 4 people, other coaches were like, well, how are you doing this? How are you? And I was like, wait a minute, like
You
this might be it.
you hit the
And so,
jackpot.
right. And so that's when I made the shift to not only, and so I do still coach and speak on my own, but
Uh-huh.
I made the shift to helping other coaches and speakers speak because I realized that I can reach more people training coaches and speakers than I can if
Mhm.
I only coach and speak myself.
Yes, because then you're also helping to spread that message because if they're coached under you, they're going to bring that essence with them.
That's the goal. Yeah,
Yes,
that's the
they're going
goal.
to bring that
And many
essence
do.
with them.
Yeah, many
Yeah,
do. So it's been good since then. Absolutely.
good. I love it. I love it. I love
Absolutely.
it. So, if I am a entrepreneur and I wanted to get started, what are some steps or strategies you would suggest for an entrepreneur?
Niche down. Right.
We got
I would start
that.
there.
We
Yeah, I
got
would start there. Listen, I would start
that.
there. I would say niche down. Two, I'd say write down vision. So you put vision on big paper, but you put your strategy on sticky notes.
Mm,
Right. Put your vision on big paper, like 11 by 17, 20 by 30, however big of a poster you can put it. Write down, this is the goal. You want to know where you're headed. But then you write down the steps on sticky notes because you don't want to have a whole lot of steps to do. You don't want to overcomplicate it. You want to figure out what are the simplest steps to get there and then execute as quick as possible. Myron Golden says success loves speed. And I
mm,
think many entrepreneurs, while trying to start or trying to succeed, have so many complicated systems, so many things they have to do to get ready, so many people they need to help, so much equipment that they need to buy. That by the time you do all of that, that paralysis analysis, that paralysis sits in, and you don't get anything done. So I'm
uh-huh.
asking you, entrepreneur, what is the thing you can do today? What is the action you can commit to today that starts the process? It would
Mm,
be great to have professional cameras and lighting for a podcast, but you can grab your phone right now, record it, go on Spotify, and make it better later. You just have to be willing to perfect it on the way. Like we say, build a plane as we fly. Right? We want you to perfect it on the way, not launch it at perfection. So
uh-huh.
I think that's key, and that may be philosophical, but for me that's big. I think the
Mhm.
first practical step is to create a free product. We call it a give and go, something that you
Mhm.
can give people for free, and then you can go to an upsell after they accept the freebie, whatever that is, an ebook, mini course. It could be a letter, a checklist. But I think for us, for me, that's the first thing we try to create for everyone that give and go. I'm not sure, Tammy, where you're from, but we had malls down here. Back in the day, you would walk through the mall,
Uh-huh.
and there'd be somebody in the food court holding some chicken teriyaki on the
Uh-huh.
toothpick, right? And even though that's not what you were trying to get, it was not what you wanted. It was
It
hard to
was
resist that
tempting.
free teriyaki chicken. And after one toothpick, you had the second. Next thing you know, you in line getting teriyaki chicken and rice.
Yes.
And so I
Yes.
think every entrepreneur, brick and mortar, virtual, on site, travel should have something that's chicken teriyaki on the stick that you can say, hey, this is yours. Have this for free. This is me just wanting to help you. This is me giving you real good information, not something
I
that's
was gonna say
fluff.
that.
Like, this is
Uh-huh.
real. This is my best content right here.
Mm-hmm.
And as a result, people like it, people grow from it, then they'll connect. And then you kind of, move your funnel and move your product and your client through your system.
Yes, yes. And I definitely okay, so bro, just to go back just a minute where you talked about writing your vision on the
Yeah.
board and then using
Yeah.
sticky notes. I actually really like that idea. And the
Okay.
reason why is because sometimes we pivot, right? And we think we have to do these certain things. Now you can just replace that sticky without
Right.
trying to go and find the paper, erase stuff, scratching it out. So it's
Absolutely.
very practical and fast, like you said. It's
Yeah.
very fast because if you got your sticky notes on there, you got your to-do list down on sticky notes. If for some reason, oh my God, now I've really super niche down. You can
Right.
then start to change those sticky notes out and using maybe some colored sticky notes for different reasons. Oh my God, I love
I
that
like
idea.
it. Yeah, I like it. Yeah, you could do color sticky notes for here's the people I need to connect to. Here's the product I need. I mean, the equipment that I need. Here's the timeline I have. Absolutely. The goal, though, I will say, is to simplify it. So
Mm-hmm.
don't do 40 sticky notes because that defeats
Right,
the purpose, right? Like
right.
get you one or two, and as much as you can write on those sticky notes, that's the system to get you to the big vision.
I like that idea. And then back to your idea where you need to have something for free. That is definitely needs to be a value, like you said. It can't just be, oh, here's a list I found on the internet, go get it. You know,
Right.
it needs to
Right.
be something that you've created. And actually, I'm going to bring this up because there was a time when I was in a different kind of niche in my business, and you helped me create one of my giveaways. And I
Okay.
was impressed. I opened that thing up and I was like, wow, he did his thing with that and taught. So it taught me my next offer can't just be a downloaded one sheet paper.
Right.
It needs
Yeah.
to have
That's it.
value. It needs to have character. It needs to have soul. It needs to have heart in it.
It does. I'll recommend that. And if I could, I know this is a controversial statement, but just me to you and everyone listening, I'm personally not pro your free item being a consultation, like a 15-minute consultation or 30-minute consult. You could do that. And I think when people do that, your goal is to close them at a higher rate. I really love to vet people by giving them something else free. And if they enjoy that, then they get my real time. But I don't want to use my real time vetting people to see if they really are the perfect client. Offer the free item. If they really are interested, they'll download it and then schedule a real discovery or a real strategy call.
Mm.
They'll go through your mini course. And if they don't read what they downloaded and don't go through your course, then there's a high chance they're not going to listen to anything else you have to say. So
Yes.
it's a waste of time. And so again, I don't want to say that your time, is such where you have to guard or gate who you talk to. But I am saying that your time is valuable where you need to guard and gate who you talk to, right?
Yeah, I actually am going to take you up on that advice because what I found is when you do the consultation, I do have a free book and checklist I give away, but I also do
Okay.
consultations or connection calls is what I call them. But what I found is sometimes those people who are coming on those connection calls is just trying to get information from you.
That's it.
And I did not realize it. And I was like, I never even got my words in. They just asked me all kind of questions. But then when I got off, it dawned on me, oh, they were picking my brain so they don't have to pay.
Picking your brain. They often just want to have a conversation. And so the strategy used to be have the free consultation so that you could use that to close them in whatever
Yeah.
your package is. I'm suggesting that you have some other product that gives them value so that
Mhm.
you've already given them all of those things that you just spent time talking to them about. And if they want more, now we can talk about it. And we start the conversation off with how did you enjoy or what did you learn from the freebie, the checklist,
Yes.
the ebook, or the because if you didn't do that, then again, I'm in the space where I'm like, I don't want to cast pearls before swine. Not to call anybody swine. I just want to value the time I have. And if
Yes.
you really believe your program works, if you really believe in the packaging and your story, then you want to give it to people who want it, not just give it out just to toss it out. Uh,
Right.
I think I was with Eric Thomas in some speaking programs with him, and in the last mastermind we were in, he said he kind of put me on something I had not heard of. I did fact check it. And he's like Louis Vuitton at the end of the year will not discount their purses and give them out. Instead, they will burn them and shred them before they
Mhm.
discount. I was like, whoa, like that was a game changer. He's like, because it's valuable. And if it's valuable, you don't just give it away because
Mhm.
you don't just get, no. And whatever you have is so, so valuable that the more time you spend on the 15-minute and 30-minute consults and then don't close them, right? And, we'll kind of chalk it up like, well, yeah, my close rate is going to be higher. No, no, no. Go ahead and vet people. And I
Right.
would even say give them a freebie and then something that's low cost. Now you know that they're willing to spend money on their own growth.
Mhm.
Put these systems in place so that you're getting high quality clients, not just high quantity, but they aren't really finishing or succeeding or being transformed. And again, these are considerations. If
Mhm.
anybody out there listening and you're going to put in the chat, no, that ain't right, you might be right. I'm just giving you the strategies that we've used that we found success with. And I'm sure there may be other routes. But if you're listening right now, I would advise
Take
you.
note.
I would advise you. Yeah, right. I would advise you to go ahead and take that free consultation off your website and replace it with a checklist or some form of other what we call give and go or freebie.
Uh-huh.
Absolutely.
Uh-huh. So interesting that you say that. So in my coaching business, I'm going to take that off of there. But for
I'm
my
sorry, Tammy.
podcast
I didn't know you
business,
had one. I'm so sorry.
but for my podcast business, the podcast part, I do keep it on there. And I
Okay.
just added it though. Like
Okay.
I just added it and I only added it because I want to pre-screen before so that they have cameras right. So they have lighting right.
All right.
So
Yeah.
that they know what to expect, when to show up, not to vet them if they're going to be on the channel or not to vet them if they're going to be a sponsor or not. It's more about how are you going to show up.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
so I
So
did add that. So that is value because then it brings the channel's value up
it
if
does.
you're showing up right.
Yeah, it does. It does. And
Yes.
so I always think of, in that case and in other cases, and for people listening, I always think, what is it that I say most often? And what is it that I have to keep repeating with each client, with each new person, or with each inquiry? And when I figure that out, I drop that in the video, no more than 20 minutes. If it's more than 20 minutes, it'll be a mini course. And now I give you that content
Mm.
because again, this is still my time, right? So if I
Yeah.
keep saying the same things, like in that case, and I think that's great that you do that, and people want to talk to you, Tammy. You're different. Like I would love to talk to you for 15 minutes anyway. That's totally different. But for everybody else out there, if you have something that let's just say you have a conversation where you're telling people, hey, you need to make sure your lights are right. Here's some camera recommendations. Here are ways that you can create your own virtual background, like whatever that is for your industry. And you're saying that 6, 8 times a week or a day. I'm like, record it and then just have people watch the video on it. And then at the end of the video, they can then, whatever your form is or or have them fill out the form. Once they fill out the form, it immediately goes to this 3, 5, 10-minute video that gives them all of those basics so that you don't have to spend that time. Now, If you are a master closer and you closing at like 70, 80%, then you want to be on the phone with people and you want to jump on the Zoom if you're doing this full time. But if time is money, and every time I have to talk to a person, I'm vetting them, then I would much rather put that on some type of automation. And today, there are a whole lot of AIs that can do the same thing. I know I have a couple of
Mm-hmm.
AIs that are actually me, my voice. I do make a distinction, right? I call him Max P, so his voice is a little different than mine. But he has, I've given him some text, and he
Uh-huh.
now speaks some things that I found myself saying over and over and over again.
Mm-hmm.
And then the person can get it, and then by the time we talk, we can go to the next step, which is much more customized and not as general information.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Okay. I got you. I got you. I'm
Yeah,
hearing you. I
yeah,
see
yeah, man,
you. So when an entrepreneur is falling down, their plane has landed, they think it's not getting back up, they ready to soar. They're ready to get back on that flight with their suitcase in hand. That means all the tools in your
yeah,
hand.
yeah,
Some of the
absolutely.
things, yeah, some of the things besides coming to see you to prepare, be mentally ready, even if they choose to go with someone else. But what they need to do is make sure they're niche down, right? That's what you said.
Yep. This down.
Write your vision word and get your little sticky notes and put
There
it
you go.
on there.
Absolutely.
Value your time, because time is money.
Absolutely.
Right now as entrepreneurs, if you're struggling, you think time is just growing it, but time is money because you can get stuck in that rut of just doing free stuff. And
Yes,
it's harder to get out than it
it
is
is.
to start there and then give away something for free.
Right. That's very true.
Uh-huh. And was there any other tips? Was there anything else you mentioned? I'm trying to think of all the things that you said to get you from landing to flying.
Yeah, I think that's it. If I were talking, if this was a talk, I would say focus forward, right? Always look ahead. Don't worry about what's been in the past. Learn, don't lose. Everything that you think was a failure is not. That's part of the process. I always talk about 50 fast is what we call it. 50 fast. Get your first 50 rejections fast. Get 50
Okay.
no's fast. Because
Fast.
the quicker you get to your no's and rejections, then the quicker you get to your yeses and affirmations, right? Uh,
Okay.
and you start to build up a resistance where now you don't feel bad when people say, no. You're like,
Right.
oh, you don't want it? Okay, that's cool. And you move on to the next
Right.
thing. So learn, learn, don't lose. And then lastly, this is fly, by the way. Focus, learn, and why say yes to your turn. That
Okay.
is eventually it's gonna happen. You're gonna get the big break, and you want to be ready.
Right.
Don't self sabotage. Don't think you aren't good enough. Don't think you need something else before you can get started. Say yes to your turn. Like go get it, go after it, do it scared, but do not stay in the airport while they calling your name to get on the plane. You got to go. We got to move.
Right. Your
Let's get
suitcase
out of
is
here.
gonna be gone and you gonna be still there.
Suitcase, listen, suitcase is there. And we always say that there's a difference between luggage and baggage. They look the same, but it's based on how you picture it, right?
Uh-huh.
So grab your luggage, leave the baggage, get on the plane. Let's get out of here.
Right, right. Oh my God, I love it. Oh my God. Thank you for coming on and speaking all this knowledge to us today.
Well, thank you for having me. I hope some of it has been helpful. And I've
Yeah.
learned a lot from you and from others that have been on this podcast, kind of catching them on replay. So we appreciate, on behalf of the whole community, we appreciate you, Tammy, for helping us make waves of change and keeping us moving and not static. Thank you so much.
Yes, yes, yes. Thank you. So, if there's anything else you'd like to say, you say it now or forever hold your peace because we're about to wrap this up.
I think this has been great. And my hope is that you are listening. You have been motivated to get started. Realize that you do have something to share. If you properly package it, it can be easily distributed to impact lives
Hmm.
and increase your income and help you live in your purpose. And if you need help with that, obviously connect with Tammy Renee first. And then if you need some help, I'm also here and available to help maximize your potential at cmileadershipcoach.com.
Yes, CMI Leadership Coach. Make sure you go look that up, check it out. So,
Thank you.
thank you so much, everyone, for watching, for being here on this wave with us. I hope you found some valuable information for you in this episode. Be sure to share it with your peers, your family, your friends. Let them get elevated with us. And I will catch you next week on the next week.
Igniting each spark, breaking chains, rearranging every arc. Tammy Renee's voice